This is Your Domain, and it's a very good morning to Alice Stoltz. To buy or not to buy, Alice, that is the question.
It's the perennial question in property, isn't it? But look, we've actually got some really good news for first home buyers, that in some areas of Australia it's cheaper to buy than it is to rent, and that number is increasing.
Okay, so we can see up here now, there's different suburbs and different numbers all around the country.
Basically, yeah, but it's the number of suburbs where a mortgage repayment on a median property is lower than the median asking rent. So money out of your pocket is less if you're buying than if you're selling. And look at the numbers in Brisbane, 123 versus 46 from the June quarter in 2019. It's a 200% jump on quarter, the number of properties where it is cheaper to buy and to sell.
Well, so not so great for investors in property.
Not so great for investors, yeah. And we're seeing this happen because rents around the country are going up and up and up, and all of a sudden interest rates are going down, down, down. And we've noticed in our latest price data that some areas have had a price drop, and they're the ones that are getting that little juicy spot where it is actually cheaper to buy than it is to rent.
Okay, so let's look at some particular suburbs in Sydney. What have we got?
The Sydney market's probably the least interesting from that regard, purely because there are fewer properties that this applies to. But basically, Sydney has the smallest amount of suburbs. You can see here, but you will save, in a suburb like Erina, you will save $44 a week if you buy rather than sell. Barangaroo, which had Australia's most highest property sale last month, it's a $37 saving there. And in Mount Druitt in Sydney, you'll save $8 if you buy instead of selling there.
So further down around Melbourne, what are we seeing in terms of those results?
Melbourne's an interesting area because I think in Melbourne it's a lot more in the inner city area of the city. So in the inner city around South Bank, Docklands, the CBD and Carlton, you're better off buying versus renting. And the Melbourne CBD, you'll save $104 a week if you buy rather than rent.
That's a big saving.
It is. And in areas like Carlton, beautiful inner city, iconic Melbourne areas, it's an $83 saving if you buy rather than rent. And this idea that you're always buying in suburbs people don't want to live in is simply not true, particularly in the case of Melbourne.
Okay, and Brisbane? Brisbane's
really interesting because it's our star performer here. It's 123 suburbs. It's cheaper to buy than it is to sell.
That's a lot of options.
And that's the most of all the cities around the country. And in Brendale in Sydney, in Brendale in Greater Brisbane, it's $110 saving. In Beenleigh, it's a $98 saving, and Loganleigh, it's a $95 saving. We've seen a 1% house drop in Brisbane, obviously, and that's what's affecting this in the Greater Brisbane area. House prices are fairly low as it is, and it's just becoming that nice time you can actually get those bargains if you have to live in Greater Brisbane. And who wouldn't be? It's an amazing city to live in.
Time to buy up in Brizzy. Now, what are we seeing in Adelaide and Perth?
Adelaide and Perth. So basically, let's jump over there. In Elizabeth Downs, you'll save $95 a week if you buy rather than sell. And Elizabeth North, a $90 saving a week, buy rather than rent. And these are really lovely buyer-friendly areas in Adelaide. And I think it's a really great story, particularly for the Adelaide and the Perth markets, because they're gorgeous areas of Australia with really much more affordable housing. Now, the Perth market, it's still a buyer's market there, very tight rental market, and prices remain low after the highs we saw after 2014, which we've talked a lot about. So it's no surprise that 67 of the suburbs are located in Perth. We've got Stratton, $75 cheaper to buy rather than rent, and Medina, it's $59 to buy, you will say rather, if you buy rather than rent over there.
We're really giving people areas to think about now, aren't we? And really options, I think, is what we're seeing come out of all of this.
And I think first home buyers have to keep that in mind. If they can save that 20% deposit, which we know is probably the greatest hurdle for them, but the government's doing what they can to assist with that. If they're keeping an open mind about where they might like to live, there actually are a lot of options out there.